Well, let's transition for a little bit to the defensive side of the ball. Garrett Nelson had quite the showing at the Big Ten Media Days, which we'll get to one of the comments he made at Big Ten Media Days that not too many people are covering, but we're going to.
Yep.
But before we get to that, I need to ask a question. And that's this. Nelson or Mathis, who has more sacks in 2022? Because Mathis was not exactly a world beater in 2021 because the Big 12 figured out this dude can wreck a freaking game. So we got to make sure he doesn't get anything done like he did back in 2020. Because I think he only had, 2 sacks, maybe 4 tackles for a loss in 2021. Because I think he was double teamed most of the year. So who do you think? Who do you think gets more sacks in 2022? Because I think both Garrett and O'Shawn are going to get a lot of attention from offensive coordinators in the Big Ten. So who do you think?
Well, I'm a homer, and so I want to say, Garrett Nelson. But I mean,
Yep.
A lot of people are high on Mathis. A lot of analysts and a lot of experts are like, he's a dog. He's going to show up, and it's not that he's going to rip the wheels off of the Big Ten and just go in there and be an award winner of some sort, but serviceable. You should be serviceable. And that's, being very conservative in saying that. I just don't know. I think that, I do know. What I do know is that Garrett Nelson is just a freaking freak. Like, he's a freak of nature. Just an absolute crazy guy with a cannon that he's just ready to shoot off at any given moment. And he's a competitive dude. And I think O'Shawn Mathis is a really, really competitive dude. And so it would not surprise me if they finish the year with the same amount of sacks. Like, it would be, because they would be competing for sacks. If there's a scenario that I see most likely between this, like with this question, who has more sacks, Nelson or Mathis? They're both going to be fighting for that, and it wouldn't surprise me if they both finish the year with 8 sacks apiece. Like, and then they're just like, he should have gotten more. Oh no, he should have gotten more. But they're just competitive and good sports, and so I'm going to honestly say that I'm going to go with the split. I'm going to say that they both get the same amount of sacks, like same number, whatever it is. Don't know how many.
Right.
But it would like, quote me on this, reminisce on it back, when we finish the season, you'd be like, oh shit, Scott was right. They both finished with 7 sacks on the season.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me if it was like an even more odd number where it's like they both got half sacks, so they finished with like 7.5 apiece or something like that, where they both like
and they combined on half of those.
Yeah.
Meet at the quarterback, which is what Wistrom and Tomich used to do back in the day. Here's I think you're right. I do kind of see a scenario where Nelson and Mathis split on the number of sacks that they have. But I also see a scenario where somebody not named Nelson or Mathis has more sacks than they do. Because I think offensive coordinators are going, good God in heaven, I've got an all Big 12 player on one side of the line, an all Big 10 player potentially on the other side of the line. I got to make sure those guys are taken care of. And then Shenander, damn good and well.
Oh, yeah.
He's got packages out there for Nelson, Mathis, and Tanner. Because Tanner's been
Can't forget about Tanner.
Yeah, he's going to be playing behind those two guys in that linebacker spot on that 4-3 defense. And I could see Nelson and Mathis both getting 7-8 sacks in the year, both of them, and having somebody like Tanner drop drop 9.
Yep.
Just in third down situations or second down situations where we expect somebody to run, but we got all 3 of those guys out there and they decide to do play action and Tanner just goes and lights somebody up, you know, so that's kind of where I think. What do you think?
No, I completely agree. I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to.
Well, hell, we haven't even talked about Reimer and Henrik yet.
No, and that's those were the 2 things I was going to say after you'd finished speaking. Was like, well, can't forget about Caleb Tanner because he's a dog like anybody else, and I think that I think last year was a very, very good learning situation for him. That just play the game, don't be all showboaty, don't mouth off. Like, I hope to God that he gets his head on straight and he doesn't make those mental mistakes and internalizes that anger and frustration and gives himself that half a step more. And I think that Caleb Tanner is going to be a weapon for us.
Yeah, I do too.
But yeah, and then you can't forget about Henrik and Reimer. Like, there's going to be some packages that Shenander is gonna conjure up, and we're gonna just bring the whole squad. And dude, the more I've thought about it this offseason, the more I realized that even with the guys that we lost last year, I mentioned this when we talked to the Cuzzcast a few weeks ago, I think that there is a way higher possibility that we take a step forward as a defense than we do have a possibility of staying the same or getting worse. Like, I think that there's more of a possibility that we get better than we do get worse or stay the same. I know I just said the same thing twice, but that I just had to reiterate it. That's my hot take, is that
because it's important.
I think our defense is going to be really good this year. Yes, we've got some questions in the secondary. Yes, we've got some questions on the line. But I'm pretty confident in our defensive staff that they aren't going to allow any of those rooms to take a step back at all. I just don't see it.
I don't have a whole lot of questions on the line as far as the edge rushers are concerned, because I think there's a whole lot of people who want to hang out and, oh, Lord Almighty, DS247. He's hung out with us before.
We're not driving right now.
You're not driving right now.
No one's seeing.
You're not driving right now.
Nope.
You know what, Scott? He's not driving right now. He told us, so it's all good.
He's not driving. He identifies as a not driving individual.
He's still a DS247.
I want you guys to keep your pronouns correct here. I'm not driving.
Yeah, pronouns are stationary / not moving.
Absolutely.
Currently enjoying the outside. I'm in the outdoors. You know, enjoying life.
From the inside of the car outdoors. Luke? Yeah. What's up, Luke?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. I got tired of trying to type too much and then worry about characters. Because, not driving and typing is just
because he's not driving while he's typing. Yeah.
Yes.
He only typed 17 paragraphs over the last hour.
I mean, voice chat, I really hope said smarter things than I did.
Not really, but that's okay. Well, no, actually, voice chat did say smarter things than you did. But,
we're in the clear.
Yeah, we're in the clear, bro. We're in clear. We didn't really have any offensive line, defensive line questions for this show, Luke, but we can address that now because I think that's important. Not to change the topic, but do you think the O-line, D-line will be able to hold blocks for all the passing? Well, D-line doesn't have to hold blocks for the passing. They have to blow up blocks for the passing. But hey,
Hey, that's what the rest of my question said. Don't paraphrase me now.
and
don't let me live up to my name, all right?
Well, you did put that name out there, bro. You did put that name out there.
It's an old account, and we're keeping it strong.
That's right. And if anybody doesn't know who this doofus is, it's the guy that hung out with us on Gen Red Pod a month or two ago, or no, 3 months ago now, isn't it, Scott?
Yeah.
After the spring game.
Yep.
And he'll hang out with us again because he's going to come back and hang out with us to preview and review a game during the season, Luke. So just
I'm
remember
waiting
that.
for you to tell me which one we're going to, because I can't even get my own father excited about going to the game. So I mean, heck, I might as well bandwagon with y'all.
Well,
Ooh,
you know,
we might have to work something out for that, because
yeah,
I'm
might.
totally going to argue about it until it happens.
that is perfectly
There's
fine.
no argument
I've
on
got
our
it
end,
noted.
dude.
I'm already looking at a few games, and
Yeah,
I didn't know if I wanted to try getting that $200 game bundle or whatever they had for the 4 Big Ten games, because I wasn't really looking to pay $270 to go to Georgia Southern and some other team, and just to go to the Oklahoma game. So I was looking towards the Big Ten 200 bundle. No, that doesn't sound bad at all.
yeah, I was looking at those, and I had already gotten Georgia Southern tickets that I'm going with my wife, my dad, and my mom for a tailgate that we're doing with another podcast.
It's gonna be fun.
And then I'm gonna be getting OU tickets for me and my dad. But then there's a few games throughout the season. I think Illinois and Minnesota, I believe, are the ones that I'm kind of eyeballing right now. I'd
love
feel
to
like
go to a Minnesota game.
I wouldn't even mind. Yeah, none of the games of the Big Ten games that we're playing sound like they're going to be bad games, because I'm drinking way too much Kool-Aid to have any near say is going to ruin my time.
So you're telling me that this is you, Luke. I need you to look at your phone right now, and this is you. This is you. This is you. Is that you?
Put an N on my chest and sponsor me by sugar. That's me. That was me maybe a couple months ago. I've hit the gym lately, but you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think he's all in, Scott.
All in.
All in. I like that one. # all in.
Did he say that when he was bending over in the shower? But anyway,
Whoa.
At the gym.
At the gym. Yeah, he's all about Jim, as in JIM. That's his boyfriend.
Oh, man.
You know, Luke, I'm actually really impressed that you must have like a green screen surrounding your car right now, because I do see moving objects in the window, and so you must have had like a whole studio set up. That's what took you forever to get here.
My button's too far away. I'd push it so I could be in space, but my button's just too far away right now. Right now, I'm on a safari jungle hunt. I just got done watching Maverick, so the glasses came with the movie, and then I just went to the jungle safari hunt. Oh, it's a great movie.
Great movie.
Oh, it's
best movie I've seen in years. So good, so good, so good. Anyway, because we don't want anybody watching to listen to us talk about the games we're going to, let's go back to what you asked about the offensive and defensive lines, Luke. I think Whipple's offense, if I understand it correctly, puts an emphasis on getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands as quickly as possible. And based on the way our offensive line performed last year, holy shit, I'm glad to hear that. Because, you know, poor Adrian ran his freaking tail off trying to get out of trouble. And I don't think Casey's the kind of quarterback. He can run, but I don't think he's Adrian Martinez good at running the ball. So with a brand new offensive line coach, which we know nothing about when it comes to how good he can set up an offensive line room, being the head coach of the offensive line, it's a question mark at best for me. It's a question mark. How about you, Scott? What do you think on the offensive line?
Yeah, I'll just pretty much echo exactly what you said. It is a big question mark with an I want to say an inexperienced, but a lack of rapport offensive line coach. That this is his first big gig. Like, this is his first real dedicated offensive lines coach job in college football. First, Division I. Like, this is his first gig. I believe that he was the dedicated offensive lines coach for an NFL team for a season or two. Or actually, I think he was just an assistant. I actually don't remember. But our offensive line is very questionable. Our defensive line has questions, but I don't think that it's as questionable just because we do
I feel like our defense will give us many more answers.
Yes. Our defensive lines coach is proven. He knows what he's doing. And we've got some dogs that we just got in with the guy from Alabama, and a few more pieces that we're able to plug into that. So it's really the offensive line that is really questionable, and it's like Dad said, at best it's a question mark, and fingers crossed that we don't take a huge step back. We're hoping to take a step forward, but knowing our recent history, I don't know what it's going to be.
Well, it looks like Prohaska is going to start at left tackle, Corcoran is going to start at right tackle, and Benhart's going to move Corcoran's going to move into right guard, and Benhart's going to be out there at right tackle with Hickson at center. Who the hell is going to play left guard? Because that was supposed to be Nordin Newelli until he decided to go all Barry Bonds on everybody. So you guys probably wouldn't know that reference, but that's a PED reference. So is it going to be is it going to be Brant Banks? Who's going to play that left guard spot? That's, to me, huge because Prohaska has got to protect his quarterback's backside, because none of our quarterbacks throw from the left side. So he's got to be the dude that makes sure his quarterback's tail is covered, and that left guard's got to be really good about picking off whoever the tackle doesn't. And that was supposed to be Newelli, and that dude was a brawler. So I don't know. Is it Kevin Williams? Is it Stefan Wins on defense? God help me. Please forgive me for confusing the two.
Hunter Anthony.
Hunter Anthony. That's the other one
That's another one.
Or is it somebody else that was recruited the last 3 years that everybody thought was going to be a badass? So that is interesting. It's an interesting discussion for sure. Do you have any thoughts on that, Scott?
No, you pretty much covered it. We've got some guys that we can potentially plug in there, but just broken record. It's like we had some guys that we had an ability to plug in last year, and it didn't work out very well. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You named off all the guys and the structure. At the very least, I hope we take a very, very small step forward. I want to see a little bit of improvement. I just don't want to see us take a step back. But I would say that it's a potential. It's a good potential that we take a step back, and that just means that we're going to be in for way more pain on offense this year than we're even ready for.
Yeah, but maybe, just maybe, we've got somebody in that quarterback room that can finish a game, because we haven't seen that for 4 years.
Nope. And
I hate to say that, but it's true. Let's get back to the Nelson and Mathis question. Nelson or Mathis, who has more sacks? I put it out there on Twitter back at about 10:30 this morning, and as of about an hour ago, this was the response. 59% of 41 votes said that Garrett Nelson was going to have more sacks than O'Shawn Mathis, which that rocks right in there in that 10 sacks for Garrett, 8 sacks for O'Shawn realm, which, damn it, I would take that. Why? Because what did we have? 22 sacks on the season last year as a team? Give me 18 from the 2 defensive ends and give me 7 or 8 from everywhere else, and I'd say we have a better defense. Wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. I think that, because, just that averages it out to, about 2 3/4 sacks a game, make that 3 or 4 in some easier games, and 1 or 2 in some harder games. And, that just puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And to get onto pressure is like, if we are increasing our sack amount, that means that we are increasing our presence in the offensive backfield. And so we're creating a lot more pressure points, and we are putting a lot more stress on their quarterback. And we're really, really upping the ante for the opposing offense. And
absolutely.
Just from a psychological level, if we are doing that kind of an improvement on our quarterback pressure, we're going to see a lot more mistakes that we can capitalize off of. And I mean, nothing would make me happier than to see more of these offenses that seem to pick us apart more than they should really be put back on their heels a lot more. That's
and have to run the ball right at Luke and Nick. I'd rather they have to run the ball at Luke and Nick
than
drop back. Yep, absolutely.